Okay, welcome back to the course Embedded Hardware Design. Today we are going to discuss about external communication interface. Next, most of the time the embedded systems, they are self-contained, which means all the information that is required to operate, they are produced by the devices which are already present inside it. Therefore, there is no need for the embedded systems to communicate with the external world. But sometimes an embedded system, it can be a distributed embedded system, which means that particular embedded system, it can be a part of a big system. So during those conditions, this distributed or a part of embedded system, which is a part of a big embedded system, it should communicate with the other embedded devices, which means this embedded system, it must be able to communicate with the external world. So during those cases, you will be using these external communication interfaces. Now there are several types of external communication interfaces available, and these are classified into two types. They are wired communication interface and wireless communication interface. Now let us see about the wired communication interface. Okay, the wired communication interface, they are classified into RS-232 and RS-485. Similarly, you can have universal serial bus. Okay, and there are several other interfaces which we will be learning in the lecture. So first let us start with RS-232. RS means recommended standard and 232 is a number, and this RS-232 was developed by EIA, means Electronics Industry Association. So those people, they have designed this RS-232, and this RS-232, it is a full duplex, which means it can transfer as well as receive the data simultaneously. Therefore it is called as full duplex, and it is wired, and it is an asynchronous serial communication interface. Okay, this is asynchronous because there is no clock here to maintain the synchronization between the data. Now if you take UART, this UART, it is standardized by TTL or CMOS logic, where logic 0 is represented by low voltage, and logic 1 is represented by high voltage. Whereas in RS-232 interface, it uses the EIA standard, where logic 0 is represented by voltage plus 3 to plus 25 volts. Okay, so all the voltages between 3 to plus 25 volts, they are identified as logic 0. Similarly, for logic 1, the levels used in RS-232 are minus 3 to minus 25 volts. Okay, and this RS-232, along with data transmission, it can also perform other tasks like handshaking, and it can also control the signals during the communication process. Now this RS-232, it has two types of connectors. They are DB9 and DB25. So here this is a DB9 connector which consists of 9 pins. This is pin 1, pin 5, pin 6 and pin 9. Similarly, DB25 connector, it consists of total 25 pins. So depending upon the requirement, any one of the connector can be used. Now these are the pins, the names of the pins which are available in DB connectors. Like if you take this RS-232, it is only used for data communication, like it has to perform only data transfer, then it will be using only TXD and RXD pins. Okay, it doesn't require the other pins for simple data transmission. But if RS-232, if it has to control the flow of data, then it has to use the remaining pins. Now this RS-232, the devices which are connected to RS-232, they can be categorized into two types. They are DTE. DTE means data terminal equipment, okay, and DCE called data communication equipment. Okay, now these pins, they are used when the device, it has to control the flow of data, where RTS, it means request to send, which means whenever the data terminal equipment, it is ready to send some data, then it activates RTS. Similarly, DCE, if it is ready to accept the data, then it will activate CTS, which means clear to send. Similarly, if DSR means data set ready, and this pin is activated by DCE when DCE it wants to establish any communication link. Similarly, we got DCD. DCD means data carrier detect. Now this data carrier detect, it is activated by DCE when the DCE, it receives the data from DTE without any errors. So DCD, it is used to tell to DTE that it has received the data correctly. Similarly, DTR means data terminal ready. Now this data terminal ready, it is used by the data terminal equipment when it is ready to receive the data. Okay, and RI means ring indicator. It is used to identify if there are any incoming telephone calls. Like that, there are several pins present in RS-232 which can be used to transfer the data as well as control the flow of data. Next, USB. USB means universal serial bus. It is a wired high speed bus. It is a wired high speed serial bus, and this USB, it was developed by IBM, Intel, Compaq. So these companies, they put a lot of effort in developing this universal serial bus, and the first USB which was developed was USB 1.0. And this USB 1.0, it is having very low data rate, which means it can transmit data at very low speed. Later on, as the years passed, the USB, it has been developed to USB 2.0, then to USB 3.0, then to USB 3.1. Now, as the USB updated, the maximum transfer speed or data rate is also increased. Like if you take USB 2.0, it can transfer data at a rate 480 megabits per second. Similarly, if you take USB 3.0, it can transfer data at a rate 5 gigabits per second. Similarly, USB 3.1, it can transfer data rate at 10 gigabits per second. Similarly, total power output is also there. For USB 2.0, the total output power is low, whereas for USB 3.1, it is very high, which is in the range of 100 watts. And these are the symbols which are used to identify that particular USB version. Now this USB, it supports star topology, which means the USB host, it will be in the center. USB host, it will be in the center, and all the other peripheral devices are connected to this USB host. And even a USB host can be connected to another USB host. Okay, so USB host, it will be in the center, and the peripheral devices or other USB hosts can be connected to the central USB host. Okay, so it uses star topology. Now the USB cable, the end of the USB cable, it can be connected to two different connectors. They are type A connector and type B connector. Okay. So type A connector and type B connector, which are connected to the end of the USB cable, and the pins present in these connectors type A, type B, they are 4 pins. One is V bus, which carries power. Second pin is D minus, which will transfer differential data carrier line, which is a differential data carrier line, and third pin is D plus, which is differential data carrier line. This is also a differential carrier data line, and fourth pin is ground. Okay, so these are the 4 pins which are present in type A and type B connector, and this type A connector, it is used for upstream. Okay, like this type A connector, it is used to connect to the host. Okay, and type B connectors are used for downstream, which means these connectors, they are used to connect the peripheral devices. Okay, now here you can see the different connectors like USB 1.0, which can transfer data at a rate 12 megabits per second, and it only consists of type A and type B, and USB 2.0, the type of connectors which can be connected to this USB 2.0 are type A, type B, mini A, mini B, micro A, micro B. Similarly, USB 3.2, it can be connected to type A and type B and micro B connectors. Similarly, USB 3.2, the second generation, if you take, it can connect to type A, type B, micro B and type C. Similarly, USB 3.2, it is a type C connector. So these are few pictures of the connectors that can be connected to the USB. Okay, so this is how they look like. Like if you take USB type A, which is used to connect the host, it will look like this. Okay, and these are commonly found in mobile device charge hubs and computers and laptops, gaming consoles, flash drives, computer mouse, docking station, and multi-port advantages. So to connect these devices, we make use of USB type A. Similarly, if you take type B, this type B, it is used to connect to printers, scanners and other hardware, hard drive enclosure. So that is how a type B connector will look like. Similarly, type C, and the latest development in this USB category is type C. Even we see nowadays the phones are coming with type C connectors, because these type C connectors, they have several advantages, which means they can support a wide range of data rates running from 400 megabits per second to 20 gigabits per second. Okay, and moreover, it is also small in size while compared to the other USB connectors. Therefore, these are commonly nowadays, they are used in cell phones, laptops, charge hubs, docking station and multi-port adapters. And this is mini USB. This is commonly found in digital cameras and other legacy devices. Similarly, this is micro USB. These are the connectors which are used by people to charge their phones. Okay, micro USB. So these are used in Android cell phones, digital cameras and other GPS devices. Next is IEEE 1394 FireWire. This, it is called as FireWire, and it was developed by the company Apple. Okay, so Apple has developed this IEEE 1394, and the biggest advantage of this I394 is it has higher data speed while compared to USB, and it is a popular communication interface for connecting embedded devices like digital cameras, camcorders, scanners to desktop computers for data transfer and storage. Okay, and these are supported by USB 2.0 interface also. And one more biggest advantage of this FireWire is, now for USB connections we require a host to communicate between the different peripherals. We require a host, but here in this FireWire we doesn't require any host. Okay, the devices, they can communicate directly. Like a scanner, it can be connected to a printer. So whenever some image is scanned, the printer without any host, it can directly communicate with the scanner and it can give a printout. Therefore, this FireWire is more advantageous while compared to USB, as it supports higher data rates. But the disadvantage is these are very costly. So that is about wire communication, wire external communication interfaces. Now let us learn about wireless communication interfaces. Now through wireless also we can an embedded system, it can communicate with the external world, and some of the wireless communication interfaces are Z-Wave, Zigbee, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, okay, and 3G, 3G and GPRS. These are all wireless communication interfaces through which the embedded system, it can communicate with the other external devices which are present in the external world. Now if you take infrared, this is one type of external communication interface. This infrared communication, it makes use of the infrared waves. So this is the electromagnetic spectrum. Now in this electromagnetic spectrum, this part, it belongs to infrared. Now in this part we will be using the waves with wavelength 750 to 2500 nanometer range waves are used, wavelength waves are used for infrared communication. Now this infrared, it is a serial communication interface and it is a half duplex, which means it can either transfer or it can receive. Both cannot be done simultaneously, and moreover it uses the concept of line of sight. So the devices which the IR wants to communicate, it should, those particular devices, they should be in line of sight with the IR controller. Okay, like your TV remote, you can operate your TV with your TV remote, which consists of an IR device. Okay, you can only operate by showing your pointing your remote towards the TV. If you are pointing your remote to other directions, and if you want to control the TV, you cannot do that, because a line of sight should be there between the devices. Okay, like a remote control car. So this is the remote and this is the car, and to operate this car, this remote, it should be in line of sight with this car, which is a toy. Now the typical communication range for these devices are 10 centimeters to 1 meters, and these can be increased to 10 meters also by increasing the power output. Now the range can be also increased by increasing the transmitting power, and it supports a data rate of 9600 bits per second to 16 megabits per second. So depending upon the speed, these IR devices, they are classified into serial IR, medium IR, fast IR, very fast IR, ultra fast IR, and giga IR. Now if you take serial IR, it has transmission rates ranging from 9600 bits per second to 115.2 kilobits per second. Similarly, MIR means medium infrared, it has a data rate of 0.576 megabits per second to 1.152 megabits per second. Similarly, fast IR, it is having data rates up to 4 megabits per second. Similarly, very fast IR, it has a data rate up to 16 megabits per second. Similarly, ultra fast IR, it has data rates up to 96 megabits per second. Similarly, giga IR, it supports data rate from 512 megabits per second to 1 gigabits per second. So depending upon the speed of data transfer, the IR, it can be classified into these types. So infrared device, it is generally a transceiver, okay. Which means it consists of both transmitter and receiver, and the source to generate this IR wave is an IR LED, light emitting diode. It is used to generate the IR signal, and this is the transmitter part. The IR light, it will be transmitted to the receiver. At the receiver you will be having a photodiode. This is a photodiode which will capture this light, and accordingly it will act, okay. So these are this is IR LED, and this is a photodiode. Like your remote, it is transmitter, and the receiver, it is present in the TV. Both are combinedly known as transceiver. Next, Bluetooth, and this is the symbol which is used to identify the Bluetooth, which is very often used to transfer data between the devices. Now the advantage of Bluetooth is it is low cost and it requires low power, but it cannot transmit data to larger distances. So short range, these are short range, and this can support point to point, or it can support point to multi-point also. So in point to point, the devices, they will act like master, whereas in multi-point, like one device connected to multiple devices, there the multiple devices, they will be acting like the slave devices, which we call it as piconet. And Bluetooth is the favorite choice for short range data communication in handheld embedded devices. Bluetooth technology is very popular among cell phone users as they are easiest. It is easy to transfer the data between the devices, and it has data rates up to 1 megabits per second, and its range is 30 feet. Next, Wi-Fi. Okay, so nowadays you can see this Wi-Fi devices in almost all homes, where the home automation is done through the Wi-Fi. Like you can control your TV, you can control your light, fans, AC through this Wi-Fi devices if your house is automated, okay. So there will be a Wi-Fi router. This Wi-Fi router, it can provide data to digital camera, smartphone. It can give, provide data to TVs or other devices, players, laptops, cameras. To everything we can provide internet through Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi means wireless fidelity. Okay. Now Wi-Fi, it is standardized by IEEE 802.1111 standard, and it has a range of 100 to 300 feet. So it is having larger range, and it operates at frequency 2.4 gigahertz to 5 gigahertz, and it supports data rates from 1 megabits per second to 150 megabits per second, and it follows internet protocol to communicate with the devices. And the Wi-Fi router is responsible for restricting this Wi-Fi router. It can also provide protection to the devices. Okay. Next, Zigbee. Zigbee, it is also a other kind of external communication device. The main advantage of this Zigbee is its low power. It's low power and low cost, and it is the reason why for home automation, most of the time the users, they are using this Zigbee to communicate with the devices present in their homes, because these are low cost and these are low power, and it supports wireless network communication protocol, which was developed by IEEE 802.15.4, standardized in the year 2006. Now Zigbee is targeted for low power, low data rate and other security applications. Zigbee operates worldwide at the unlicensed band of radio spectrum, mainly at 2.4 to 2.484 gigahertz and 902 to 928 megahertz, 868.0 to 868.6 megahertz, and it supports a distance up to 100 meters with a data rate of 20 to 250 kilobits per second. So the disadvantage here is the data rate is quite low. Okay, in Wi-Fi we are having 150 megabits per second, but here the data rate it is 20 to 250 kilobits per second. And okay, next, if you take a Zigbee protocol, this is how if you take a Zigbee network, that Zigbee network, it will look like this, which consists of 3 devices. Okay, which consists of 3 devices. They are Zigbee coordinator, which controls the flow of data between the devices, and Zigbee router, where and full function device through which the data will be transmitted. Okay, it is like a channel through which the data will flow. And Zigbee end devices, these are the end devices which only receive the information. Okay, so this is a Zigbee coordinator which controls the communication between all these things, and this is Zigbee router through which the data flows, and these are Zigbee end devices which will receive the data. Now this Zigbee, it is used in various applications, and they are mainly targeted in the application areas like home and industrial automation, and for energy, okay, for energy, for home control. Okay, similarly light for telecom, and for in biomedical field also nowadays most of the time they are using Zigbees. Okay, next, GPRS. We all know GPRS. GPRS means General Packet Radio Service. Okay, and this is a type of mobile communication where the data transfer rate is very low, which is around 7.2 kilobits per second, and this communication, it divides the channel into 8 time slots and transmit the data over these slots. But the advantage is the range is very high. The GPRS signal, it can be reached anywhere on the earth. So that is the main advantage of GPRS. Some of the features are, in GPRS are SMS messaging and broadcast, always on internet access, multimedia messaging service is also there, push to talk, instant messaging and presence, wireless village internet applications for smart devices, point to point and point to multi point. So these are some of the few features which are available in GPRS, and this GPRS, it is also become old. And we are having new technologies in the field of mobile communication like 2G, 3G. These are old things. We are having now, at present we are using 4G, where we can have higher data rates, and in the future we will get 5G also, where the data rates are further increased. Okay, so this table, it gives the differences between the different wireless communication interfaces. Okay, so with this I have completed this topic, and these are few questions which are corresponding to the topic which we have discussed. Try to solve these questions. You should be able to do that after listening to this class, and these are few questions which are important for your exam.